sanitary here.
Come on. Wait. Why is the light looking like it's supposed to? Maybe it could be better. I'm gonna get a desk lamp one of these days that actually shines this way. Cause I don't like some of the shadows. You know, it makes me look like I be tired. But anyways, I don't want to be tired. I want to look vibrant and young, fam. But peace and blessings, y'all. How y'all doing? How you feeling? It's your boy again, and we're gonna do something a little interesting today. Invite some of my family in here, and we're gonna get it in. Let's thank the Most High always, fam, for another beautiful, blessed evening. You know what I mean? Man, it's good. How you doing? How you feeling? What's happening? And the question I'm going to ask y'all is, well, I'll send some invites out. Hopefully those that are available to attend, please attend. The question we're going to ask is, did the Messiah eat the Passover lamb? All right? So I'm going to write it out in a minute. We just got off of FOP. Website. StreamYard and YouTube. And my brother Damon was killing it with the historical aspect, as he always does, with the Pauline Christianity versus Nazarenes, Nazarites, Essenes, and things like that. And so we're going to go into the Ebionites. Can you grab her or something or set her back outside? All right, so please share this, fam. I'm going to try to be thorough. I only have one day off this week. I'm burnt out, but you know what? This is my passion. This is my love, fam. And so I'm really sorry if I interrupted your evening or whatever it is. But folks, I hope and pray this is edifying in any way possible. We're going to go and run through some of these scriptures, and we're going to determine, did the Messiah eat the Passover lamb? And let's go from there. And y'all tell me what y'all think. Like I said, we've done a lot of studies about the Nazarenes, the Essenes, the Ebionites, and things like that. And so lend me your ear, just bear with me as we go through this line upon line, and we're going to come to the end of it, and you guys tell me, did the Messiah eat the Passover lamb? All right? You guys tell me what y'all think. And it's not easy, but I'm going to ask y'all to please take out the emotions. Let's try to look at the facts. Just sending out some invites while I'm talking, you know what I mean? Just giving you an oratory introduction into some of the things that we're discoursing over. Kind of like a dissertation. I'm going into my introduction a little bit. And I'm going to go into my thesis statement. And then afterwards, I'm going to close my conclusion with my thesis statement, right? And then support my references and my sources. And you guys tell me what y'all think afterwards. So peace and blessings, fam. All right, so grace and mercy greetings. How you doing? What's happening? What's good? How you doing? How you feeling? All right, so I'm going to write out what I'm reading from the Ebionites. Okay? And I believe this is what does it say? Chapter 17. Chapter 17. And it's going to be called, Did the Messiah Eat the Passover Lamb? All right? Peace and blessings, fam. What's good? Strong evening. How you doing, Brother King? Peace and blessings to your home, You know what I mean? Hope all's well. It's literally like an afro up under here. So this is the best thing for me. It keeps it like all compacted. You know what I mean? So anyway, peace and blessings, fam. So it's going to be on page, let me see. It's on page 245. If you guys have the book. All right? It's on page 245. Okay? And to go into some of the pretext of the Ebionites, they are chronicled all throughout the Torah. If you guys want a second and third witness, I can. On the strength, greetings, Brother Malaki. Greetings, fam. So when we look up the term Ebionite, okay, or Ebion, all right, it's represented by Strong's number 34, excuse me. Okay? Do I 100% trust the concordance? No. but it is a form of a reference that put things together in a pretty decent fashion, and thereon. Unless we have an authentic teacher specifically who I consider to be like Enoch, Abraham, some of those from way back then, I have a hard time trusting any of today's modern Hebrew. No disrespect to anybody who does, though. Modern Hebrew is a reference, but I do believe some of the Hebrew they were speaking back then was much more archaic and much more directly to the narrative of that language then. I don't think what people are speaking today is that same narrative. So no disrespect to anybody who does. Ray Doja, peace and blessings to your homes. I don't know if this is my brightness or what, but I need to get brighter. So anyway, so the name of the topic is the Ebionites. Okay? And the topic is, did the Messiah eat the Passover lamb? And so many people will question about the Ebionites. Who are these Ebionites? Why you guys keep talking about these Ebionites? All right, let's find out why Brother YirmeYahu, Essene Nazarite YirmeYahu, Essene Nazarite Chinook, Brother Damon, and many others are talking about Ebionites. Okay, the word Ebion is represented by por, Strong's number 34, okay, in the Old Testament. Okay, Ebion, I'm gonna write it out. You see right there, turn on my light, okay? It's just a reference, you guys. I don't 100% trust in it, okay? So right here, see how it says por? Por. See right there? Por. Strong's number 34. You shall not rest the judgment of thy poor, okay? Shalom. It's the Nazarite Corey Barnes, YAH'KI. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so right there it says Exodus 23 verses 3 through, what does that say? 6, okay? Another reference, okay? 23:11, okay? Next, another reference of the Ebion. Right here, Deuteronomy 15:4, okay? Second and third witness, okay? Deuteronomy 15:4, okay? How this is very important to biblical history, that there's going to be a group of people out here that are represented as the poor, okay? Deuteronomy 15:4 through, what do you want to say? Through 11. Through 11, okay? All right, so that's there. Shalom, Brother Fitz. And all, if I haven't said greetings to Brother Roland, Essene Nazarite Mom, Mary Cunningham, to all who haven't said greetings to, greetings, Christopher Lowry. Okay, so these are some of the references right here. You see Strong's number 34. Say there shall be no poor man among you. There should be a man, right here, a poor man of one of thy brethren. Shut thine hand from thy poor brother, and on. Do you see right here? Right? Do you see that? Portions one to another and gives to the poor. He saveth the poor from the sword. Do you see that? Ebion. So when we go to the back, all right, you go to the Hebrew, right? Even if it is modern, it is somewhat of a reference, okay? 34. This is what we're doing. 34. Do you see it right there? Ebion. Okay? Ebion. Poor. Needy. Often as a class of persons with physical needs, of low status and little political power, with an associative meaning of oppression and misery. Poor, beggar, poor man. And so many may not understand Nazarenes were often termed as the poor in reference to okay, all praises. Okay, all praises. Be sure to, hit me up with that. Is there a reason why that's tied up like that? Can you? Well, okay. So anyway, so the word poor means Ebion, and that's where we get the hence word Ebionites. Okay, and so it is a part of the Torah. Exodus 23. I'm giving you second and third witnesses. Okay, remember everything must be established by a testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. Deuteronomy 17 verses 6 through 7. Deuteronomy, 19 verses 15. YirmeYahu, 18:16. Must be established by second and third witnesses, and even those second and third witnesses at times need to be authenticated as well. And I think there's one also in Bimidar 35. Okay, Bimidar 35. I believe when it talks about witnesses. Let me see. Talks about witnesses. Let me see. 35:30. Numbers 35:30. All right, in reference of the Ebionites, showing you second and third witnesses of Torah. Okay, whoso kills any person in murder shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses, but one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. So all throughout the Torah, you need at least 2 or 3 witnesses. Okay? So I'm showing you references of the Ebionites. Strong's number 34. Okay? Strong's number 34. Okay? And then again, Mashiach, the Messiah, comes along, and he says similar things as Moshe did. Well, when we read, the poor shall never cease out of the land, when Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 through 18, right? The Messiah comes along doing similar things as Moses. He blesses the poor as well. And there was a group of people that also followed the Messiah that were referred to as Ebionites. They were very much Nazarenes and Essenes with their understanding of the Torah. And the Messiah would call them out. He would say, blessed are the poor in spirit. Matthew. I'm just giving a subtext. Okay? Matthew 5:3. To show proof that this was in the Torah. Matthew 5:3. Matthew 11:5. Okay? 19:21. That's there. Mark. Okay? Remember, they were not speaking Greek, fam. They were speaking at least Aramaic. 10 verse 21. Okay. Let me see. 12 verse 43. And then I'll give you some from Yuchanan. John. Okay. Yahuchanan. I want to say it is 12 verse 8. Okay. To show proof that they're very much referenced in the Tanakh and Torah, and therefore chronicled also in the Gospels. From Matthew 5:3. Matthew 11:5, 19:21, Mark 10:21, Mark 12:43, and then Luke also, he says, Luke 6:20, Luke 4:18. Hold on, Luke. Verses 17 through 20, when he proclaimed he's the Yobel, right? Why did I put B? Okay, just giving you a reference of them. Okay, that they are chronicled. They're very important to the historical biblical history of southern Palestine. And then let me see. Luke 4:17. Yeah. Luke, what was it? Luke 6 verse 20. Okay. 7 verse 22. If I just put a comma after it, I'm basically saying it's still in the book of Luke. Okay. Luke 4:14 verses 13. Okay. And then Luke 14:21. Okay, these are my references. And then also in Luke 18 verse 22. Okay. References of the poor or the Ebionites all throughout the Tanakh and Torah. I'm giving you second and third witnesses. Okay. All right. So now we're getting into the text. Did the Messiah eat the Passover lamb? I'm giving a reference of references. Okay. This is what I'm reading from. The Ebionites. Early 1st century, they're referred to as Ebion because their understanding of Tanakh and Torah differed greatly from those of Western Pauline Christianity. Okay, they were more like Eastern philosophy as far as their teachings of the Messiah. Okay, the understandings of the renewed covenant and what they considered Torah. So this is kind of where we're going with this. Okay, so I'm just supporting a reference on why we keep talking about the Ebionites. Okay, all right, let's get it in. All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. All right, the Ebionites, the Christology, the soteriology, vegetarianism defended. Let's get it in. All right, let's get I need a placeholder. I need a placeholder right here. All right, where's the placeholder here? All right, I need to elevate this. All right, this is what happens when you get a floppy copy. You know what I mean? It says, it is often pointed out that the Messiah was not and could not have been a vegetarian, since as the perfect observer of the Torah, he was obligated to eat the lamb during the Passover festival. It is further claimed that if the Messiah did not eat the Passover lamb, then he was a sinner and a breaker of the Most High's law. It amazes me that these same people never charged John the Baptist of breaking the Most High's law by not observing the Passover and by not eating the lamb during the Passover season. If the Messiah was obligated to observe the Passover and to eat the lamb, then it follows that Yahuchanan the Immenser or John the Baptist was also obligated to observe the Passover festival. But the Bible clearly shows that Yahuchanan the Immenser spent his entire life in the desert and that he never went to Jerusalem to observe the Passover in Luke 180. Luke Okay, 1 verse 80. Brother Demiso, you do know Moses never spoke of him, and the prophet, like Moses, was Joshua the son of Nun? I don't understand what you mean. I don't understand. Okay? I don't understand what you mean, Aki. But right here, it says in Luke 1:80, we read of John the Baptist following. The child was growing and becoming strong in the spirit and was in the desert. Okay? Until the day of his public appearance unto Israel, World English Bible. It says Luke 1:80. Okay? So they're saying, well, why aren't they charging John the Baptist? Remember in Devarim 16:16, remember we're supposed to go up to Jerusalem 3 times a year. All your males shall not appear empty. Okay? You guys remember that? Deuteronomy 16:16. And it talks about that in YirmeYahu as well, that we're supposed to go up to the Jerusalem to the feast at least 3 times a year. Okay? It's basically like a family reunion. In Devarim 16:16, you know, we are supposed to go up there 3 times a year. I believe it was Passover, unleavened bread. I believe it was also Shavuot or weeks. And then I think it was tabernacles. Okay? What we're supposed to do at least 3 times a year. Okay? Deuteronomy 16:16. Okay? Let me see. It reads, 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before the Most High, HICKMAN, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of Matzah, in the feast of Shavuot, and in the feast of Sukkot. Okay, Devarim. Okay? This is my reference, Safar. Deuteronomy 16, verses 16. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yah, HICKMAN, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of Matzah, which is unleavened bread, in the feast of Shavuot, which is weeks, in the feast of Sukkot or tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yah empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yah, HICKMAN, which he has given you. So what he's saying is, according to this text, why aren't they charging John the Baptist if he was always in the desert, in the wilderness, okay? When we're supposed to go to Jerusalem at least 3 times in a year. The child was growing and becoming in Ruach, strong in Ruach, and was in the desert until the day of his public appearance unto Israel. According to Luke, the Baptist spent his life in the desert, and he never went to Jerusalem to observe any of the festivals. But if all the injunctions in the Hebrew Pentateuch were originally given by the Most High, then the Baptist failed to fulfill the Most High's law. Even after he began his ministry, the Baptist refused to observe the Passover, and he refused to even eat the unleavened bread during the Passover season because he objected to the festival and considered it wrong to eat the lamb, since the unleavened bread was connected with the lamb. He refused to partake of it. The Hebrew historian Josephus, who was contemporary of the apostles, wrote concerning John the Baptist in the Slavonian version of the Jewish war. Josephus, among other things, states that John was an absolute vegetarian. Okay? That John was an absolute vegetarian who refused to even eat the Passover bread and even to pronounce the words in memory of the Exodus Passover. He also states that he never allowed wine to be brought near him, and that animal flesh he absolutely refused to eat. Now we're dealing with Nazaritism. You guys get that? Okay. The church fathers believed, and the church in general, that James, the brother of the Messiah, was a vegetarian from birth. Hegesippus, who lived not long after the apostles, wrote everything he knew about them. His writings were often quoted by the later assembly fathers. This is what Hegesippus had to say concerning James the Just, a.k.a. Yaqub Siddiq. And it reads, James, the brother of the Adonai, surnamed the Just, was made the head of the church at Jerusalem. Many indeed are called James. This one was holy from his mother's womb. He drank neither wine nor strong drink. Ate to eat no flesh, never shaved. See that? Ate no flesh nor shaved. The Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers, Volume 3, page 36. So now when we go into this, Eusebius' Ecclesiastical History states the same thing in the first book of history, that he even acknowledges. I think it's in, 223. All right? This is biblical history before and around the time of the Nicene Councils. Okay? All right. I'm going to write out what I'm reading from. Eusebius. Okay? Eusebius, Ecclesiastical History. 2:23, 8 through 9. All right? And it reads, you see that? Eusebius, Ecclesiastical History, the 2nd, 3rd century. When Paul appealed to Caesar and was sent over to Rome by Festus, the Yahudim were disappointed of the hope in which they had laid their plot against him, talking about Paul, and turned against James, the brother of the Messiah. Do you see that? Or the Adonai, to whom the throne of the bishopric, that's acknowledging his authority over the Jerusalem Kahal in Jerusalem and had been allotted to him by the apostles. The crime which they committed was as follows. They brought him, talking about the Messiah, in the midst and demanded denial of the faith in the Messiah before all the people. But when he, contrary to the expectation of all of them, with a loud voice and more courage than they had expected, confessed before the people that our Adonai and Savior, the Messiah, is the son of the Eloah. And it says, they could no longer endure his testimony, since he was by all men believed to be most righteous, because of the height which he had reached in a life of philosophy and religion, and killed him, using anarchy as an opportunity for power. Since at that moment Festus had died in Judea, leaving the district without government or procurator. The manner of James' death, or YAHKI, has been shown by the words of Clement, already quoted, narrating that he was thrown from the battlement and beaten to death with a club. But Hegesippus, who belongs to the generation after the apostles, gives the most accurate account of him, speaking as follows in his 5th book. A charge of the assembly passed to James, the brother of the Adonai, together with the apostles. He was called just by all men from the Adonai's time unto ours, since many are called James, but he did what? Was holy from his mother's womb. He drank no wine or strong drink, nor did he eat flesh. All right, so that's Eusebius' ecclesiastical history, showing proof that no, YAHKI did not eat flesh. Okay, let's go back. Okay, I'm going back to what is called the Ebionites. I'm going back. Okay, right here. Okay, I'm just showing a reference. Eusebius Pampilius wrote, this apostle was consecrated from his mother's womb. He drank neither wine nor fermented liquors and abstained from animal food. A razor never came upon his head. I just kind of read that, correct? This is like 2nd and 3rd century pre-Nicaea councils. Okay? St. Augustine wrote, St. James never ate animal food, living on seeds and vegetables. Okay? Never tasting of flesh or wine. Ecclesiastical History, 2 volumes, translated by H.G. Lawyer and J.E.L. Ulton. The Catholic Encyclopedia Art St. James the Less states, the universal testimony of the Christian antiquity is entirely in accordance with the information derived from the canonical books as to the fact that James was the bishop of the church in Jerusalem. Hegesippus, who lived throughout the middle of the 2nd century, relates in his narrative is highly probable that James was called the Just, that he drank no wine, nor strong drink, nor ate animal food. If James was a vegetarian from his mother's womb, and if he never tasted flesh, then he obviously never ate the flesh of a lamb during the Passover season. Okay? If James and John the Baptist did not eat the Passover lamb and were guiltless, then why would we assume that the Messiah was obligated to eat the Passover lamb, and that if he did not, and if he didn't, that he was a sinner and a breaker of the Most High's law? I should also point out that there were and still are Jewish vegetarians in the rabbinical Judaism, and even that some rabbis are vegetarian, and that all these Jews never eat the lamb or any meat during the Passover observance. But I will prove from the Bible itself that the Messiah did not eat the lamb, nor did he observe the Last Supper on the Passover night as commonly supposed. So now we're going to start getting into a little sensitive discussions here. Okay? Moving on. It says, John states that 6 days before the Passover, the Messiah came to Bethany where Lazarus gave him a banquet. John 12, 1 through 2. John 12, verses 1 through 2. Okay? On the next day, he rode into Jerusalem in verse 12. And then in 13:1, John 13:1. Okay? In John 13:1, he states that the Last Supper took place before the Passover. He also shows that the Messiah was reclining on the couch and the disciple he loved, which means that the meal was not the Passover lamb, for they could not eat that meal in a reclining position, but in a standing position. All praise, Brother Wallace Rollins. Likewise, if that night was the Passover night, then all the shops would have been closed, for the shopkeepers would have been in their homes eating the lamb. Yet the disciples thought that Judas went into the night in order to buy what? Something they needed for the feast. John 13:29. All right, so who gets what it is that we're talking about here? If it was the Passover, why weren't the shops closed? Why did they command Judas to go grab something? Okay? Neither could have the trial taken place during that night, for the chief priests and the other priests and witnesses would have also been in their homes eating the Passover lambs. Also, in accordance with the Passover command and tradition, the Yehudi, okay, remained in their homes all night during the Passover night, and only in the morning they burnt whatever was left of the lamb. Hope you guys can hear me. Okay? All right? But YAHKMAN clearly shows that the Messiah with the disciples did not stay in the house all night, but rather went across the Kidron brook. Looks like this is John 18:1, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're still talking about John. Okay? If I'm wrong with that, please correct me. Okay? I need correction. He was arrested that very night, which proves that it could not have been the Passover night in John 18:28. John 18, verse 28. Okay? John makes it very plain that the night of his trial was not the Passover night, since after the trial of the Messiah, they would not enter into the praetorium, so that they would not become ritually polluted and so be unable to eat the Passover that coming night. They led the Messiah before from Caiaphas into the praetorium. It was early, and they themselves didn't enter into the praetorium that they might not be defiled, but might eat the Passover. That's according to John 18:28. Therefore, the morning of the 14th of Abib was before the Passover night. And that is why they were worried lest they be defiled and thus not be able to eat the lamb that evening. Because those who were defiled or on a journey had to observe the Passover on the 14th at evening. The following month, as prescribed by the Hebrew Pentateuch, after questioning the Messiah, Pilate brought him before the people about noon, still being before the Passover night. And it was the preparation of the Passover and about the 6th hour. KJV. Okay? And it was the preparation of the Passover and about the 6th hour. KJV. Do you guys see that right there? By noon, being the 6th hour of the day, the Yehudi removed all leaven from their homes, and about 3 in the afternoon, the priests began slaughtering and roasting the lambs on that day, so that the people could eat, the Passover that coming night, because it was the preparation day, and the people had to get ready for the evening meal of the Passover. The authorities wanted the bodies removed as quickly as possible, since the following day was the 15th of Abib, and therefore the day following the Passover that night, and being the first day of the unleavened bread festival, and therefore an annual Sabbath. The Yehudi, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross, the stake, or the tree on the Sabbath day, for the Sabbath day was a high day, brought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. It looks like this is, I can't tell if this is John 19. I can't tell. Is this still John? John. It might still be John 19 verses 31. All right? Let me just double check this right fast. Okay? John 19. YAHKMAN. Okay? John 19:31. The Yehudim, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross or the stake, okay? Right here. The Yehudim, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain on the. I don't even want that word cross. I get my Aramaic English New Testament. Okay, my Kadoma Kadosha. All right, all praises. Let's get into it. All right, so this is my Aramaic English New Testament, also known as Kataba Kadoshia. Okay. All right, let's go to YAHKMAN. All right, because they say cross right here, but here in the Aramaic they say stake, and that's why I like the Aramaic English New Testament. They get it more right with some of these accounts. Okay, YAHKMAN 19. I'll read. I can read some of this from the Aramaic English New Testament. All praises, Sister Ray Doja. All right, so this is my Aramaic English. I don't even know if they sell these anymore. This was on Amazon for like $59. All right, this is going to have English on the left, Aramaic on the right. Okay, and I was just reading YAHKMAN 19:31. Okay, YAHKMAN. Okay, 19, verse 31. And the Yehudians, because it was the setting of the day, said, these bodies should not remain, do you see that? On their stakes. Do you see that? You see the Christian Catholic interpolation that they made of the cross? Now remain on their stakes because the annual Shabbat is closing, for it was a high day that they entered to Pilatos or Pilate, that they might seek to break the legs of those who were nailed to the stake and take them down. Do you guys see that? That was verse 31. And the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and those of the other who was on the stake besides him. You guys see that? Do you see the difference between stake and cross? When we look at some of the more direct narrative of Aramaic. All right? This is what we're doing. All right? This is what they're talking about. There they laid the Messiah. Therefore, because the Yehudim preparation day for the sepulchre was nigh at hand. John. Okay? 19, verse 42. Okay? I'm going to read it again. There they laid the Messiah. Therefore, because of the Yehudi preparation day, for sepulchre was nigh at hand. Do you guys get this? Okay. All praises. I don't even know if they sell it anymore. But this is a more direct narrative, Sister Ray Doja. Okay? I collect books by the grace of Most High. Okay? It says, I have presented evidence that from the Gospel of John, which irrefutably proves that the Last Supper was not the Passover night. And therefore this proves that the Messiah did not eat the lamb that night. Are we getting it? Okay. However, those who embrace the Easter tradition generally believe that the Messiah was arrested and put to death on Friday the 15th of Abib or Nisan. The two prominent theologians demonstrate this view. Archibald Thomas Robertson, professor of New Testament interpretation in the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, in his words, Pictures in the New Testament, volume 1 on page 207, in regards to Matthew 26:17. Okay, in regards to Matthew 26, verse 17. Okay? That's what we're talking about here. Okay? So it says, according to the tradition of you, the Messiah ate the Passover about 6 p.m., which, okay, where are we? Which, according to the Yehudi, began at the 15th of Abib, and that the lambs were slain and roasted after the 14th. Alfred Edersheim, born of the Yehudi, okay, parents, but a convert to Christianity, states that early in the morning of the 15th, the Messiah was handed to the Romans. After he ate the Passover with the disciples, he claims that the Messiah instituted the supper on the very Passover night, and that his so-called crucifixion took place on the first day of unleavened bread, the 15th, the temple. It's Ministry Services, page 200 and 311. In all honesty, this immediately creates difficulty. The 15th of Abib was the what? First day of unleavened bread festival. Do you guys see that? It was the feast day and the annual Sabbath. The chief priests decided to kill the Messiah, but they have uniformly agreed not to do so during the feast day, lest the people would riot. Please note the text of Mark 14:1. Mark was showing proof that no, he did not eat the Passover lamb. They weren't even near it, in that regard, on that night, okay? After 2 days was the feast of Passover and of unleavened bread. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by craft, okay? And put him to death, but they said, not on a feast day. You guys see that? You guys see that? Not on a feast day, lest there be an uproar of the people. This is also stated in Matthew 26:5. Matthew. Okay? Right there. The Jewish leaders decided not to kill the Messiah on the feast day. That is Abib 15. This day was held in reverence because of the following injunctions of the Hebrew Pentateuch. And this day, this is Exodus 12 verses 14. I'm not going to read it. You guys can read it yourselves. I got to move. 12 verses 14 through 16. Okay? What we're doing is we're showing proofs how, if he was a Nazarite, Nazarene, Essene, he can't go against his own doctrines and customs, fam. Okay? All right, moving on. You guys know what that says in Exodus 12, verse 14 through 16. Okay, next. In Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23, verses 5 through 8. Okay? Is the 14th day of the month At even is the Most High's Passover, and on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread or Matzah. Peace and blessings, Cordero McNeil. Greetings to you in your home, fam. Sister YirmeYahu, greetings. Brother Yakanan, Danino, how y'all doing? Greetings, fam. We're proving that basically, did the Messiah eat the Passover lamb? Well, if they're doing all this before, and some aspects of it after, can we really say for certain that they ate the Passover lamb? Okay? It says, all right, and in the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of the Most High, and the 15th day of this month is the feast. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. In the first day shall be holy convocation. You shall do no manner of servile work. Okay? Numbers 28:16 through 18. Numbers. Verses. Numbers 28. Verses 16 through 19. Okay? The 15th of Abib was the first day of the festival, and is called the feast. The chief priests uniformly agreed not to arrest and kill the Messiah on that day. All right, I'm going to read it again slowly. The 15th of Abib was the first day of the festival, and is called the feast. The chief priests uniformly agreed not to arrest and kill the Messiah on that day. Abib 15th was the feast day or annual Sabbath on which the Holy Assembly was commanded and secular work was expressly forbidden. On that day, they were permitted only to prepare what they would eat. When we realize this, then it becomes apparent why the Hebrew leaders ruled out Abib 15 as the execution day. Remember, we were talking about that before, that they had agreed to not do this on a feast day. Okay? Mark 14:1. Okay, Mark 14:1. I'm going back. Mark. Okay? Certain forms of work was not permitted on a feast day. 14:1, 2, 10 through 11. All right, so when was it? Okay? Goodness, okay? When we carefully study the relevant text of the Gospels, it becomes plain that the chief priests and the Yehudi in general spent the day at Golgotha. So did the Messiah's family and the women from Galilee who followed him. There is no evidence to suggest that there was an holy convocation from which the chief priests, elders, or common people attended. The Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, referred to a day of execution as a preparation day. Yakanan called it preparation for the Passover. How could this be the case if the day of the execution was Abib 15? How could the Yehudi be preparing for the Passover on Friday the 15th of Abib if they have already observed the Passover the previous evening? How could they call it the preparation day when in fact the 15th of Abib was the feast day and the annual Sabbath day? If the Messiah was crucified on the 15th day of Abib, then there would have been 2 Sabbaths back to back in that week. Friday, the annual Sabbath, and Saturday, the Sabbath. But if that was the case, it would mean that the chief priests sealed the tomb and set the guard to watch the tomb of the Messiah on the weekly Sabbath, since they did so on the next day after the crucifixion. This is unthinkable. This is what they're talking about when we're starting to break it down. The Synoptic Gospels. Okay? Catch, yo. The Synoptic Gospels seem to contradict John by placing the Passover on the first day of unleavened bread festival. It therefore, if so, it would logically follow that the crucifixion took place on the 16th of Abib. Please note Mark 14:12. Mark. Please follow along. Greetings, Angelo Dean. How you doing, Aki? On the first day of unleavened bread, when they sacrificed the Passover, his disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to go and prepare that you may eat the Passover?" You guys see that? Do you guys get that? Do you guys get that? I'm going to read it again. The Synoptic Gospels seem to contradict John by placing the Passover on the first day of the unleavened bread festival. And therefore, if so, it would logically follow that the crucifixion took place on the 16th of Abib. Please note Mark 14:12. On the first day of unleavened bread, when they sacrificed the Passover, his disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to go and prepare that you may eat the Passover?" Word English Bible. According to all biblical texts, on the first day of the unleavened bread festival, always was the 15th of Abib. You guys get that? Do you guys get that? Who gets that? On the first day of unleavened bread, when they sacrificed the Passover, his disciples asked him, where do you want us to go and prepare that you may eat the Passover? Are we getting this? According to all biblical texts, the first day of unleavened bread festival was always on the 15th of Abib. Therefore, the Synoptic Gospels, taken literally, according to the traditional translations, would have placed the Passover meal in the evening of the 15th of Abib and the crucifixion on the 16th of Abib. The first conjecture is that the authors of the Synoptic Gospels based themselves on the tradition recorded in Devarim 16. This is what happens when pagans and heathens of the European descent get involved with the books. We have to methodically work out the lies. This is what we're attempting to show. Okay? According to Devarim 16, 2-8, which gives an alternative injunction concerning the Passover. Okay? You shall sacrifice the Passover to the Most High Elohim of the flock, and the herd in the place which the Most High shall choose, to cause his name to dwell there. You shall eat no leavened bread with it. You shall eat unleavened bread with it 7 days. Even the bread of affliction, for you came out of the land of Mitzrayim in haste, that you may remember that in the day when you came out of the land of Mitzrayim, all the days of your life, no yeast shall be seen with you, in all of your borders 7 days. Neither shall you eat any of the meat which you sacrifice on the first day at evening. Remain all the night until the morning. You may not sacrifice the Passover within any of your gates. That's another marker right there, right? Which the Most High Elohim gives you, but at the place which the Most High Elohim shall choose, to cause you his name to dwell there, there you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you came out of Mitzrayim. You shall roast it and eat it in the place which the Most High Elohim chooses. In the morning you shall return to your tents. 6 days shall you eat unleavened bread. On the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to the Most High Elohim. You shall do no work. All right? So what they're saying is this. What is what they're saying? The first conjecture is that the authors of the Synoptic Gospels based themselves on the tradition recorded in Deuteronomy 16 verses 2-8. I just read that, which gives the alternative injunction concerning the Passover. The injunction in this text deviates from other passages in the Pentateuch. Okay? First, it allows the calf to be also used for the victim and not only a lamb. Did you guys get that? Then it commands that the victim be cooked, whereas other texts prohibit cooking and commands roasting only. Okay? The Hebrew word used elsewhere is bashal, and it states that they must not bashal the lamb, whereas in this text they are told to bashal the lamb or the calf. Okay? But the most significant divergence lies in the fact that the victim should be killed as the sun goes down on the first day of the 7. And that it does not command holy convocation on the first day of the 7, but only on the 7th. In the morning after the Passover was eaten, on the first of the 7 days, they could go home. The unleavened bread festival continues for another 6 days, and on the final day of the holy convocation is prescribed. The Synoptic Gospel states that on the first day the disciples came to the Messiah and asked him where to prepare the Passover. The Messiah told them where to, and then in the evening, on that first day, they got together in the upper room. Later that night, he was arrested on the morrow and crucified. Okay? Being the second day of the festival, according to this reckoning, another possibility is that the Synoptic authors followed the Jewish tradition of their time and added the Passover to the 7 days. making the festival 8 days long. The first day would thus be the 14th of Abib, and the Passover night later in the evening of that day. The crucifixion would fall thus on the 15th of Abib. Some justification for this is found in fact that both Mark and Luke refer to the festival of unleavened bread and Passover, thus implying 8 days. Another solution is that the texts, plural, were somewhat mistranslated, and that the alternative reading would thus place the Last Supper at the evening on the 13th of Abib, and thus the crucifix. Do you guys see how this is sounding? This is all over the place, ain't it, right? And thus the crucifixion on the 14th, being the day the Yehudim were removing the leaven and were preparing for the Passover. John definitely places the evening meal on the 13th. I tend to think that this is the best solution to the problem, as Matthew 26:17 reads. Matthew. Okay. Reads. Okay. Now on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to the Messiah, saying to him, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" What did we read was the day of unleavened bread? Wasn't it after? I think a lot of us know that by our studying and celebrating the feast, right? On the first day of unleavened bread. More literally translated, this should be read, but before the Passover week, therefore, in the day in question as the 13th, as YHWH clearly states. But is there any justification to translate the text in this manner? The Greek word protos has been translated in the KJV also as before in John 1:15 and 30. Okay, protos. Okay? Before. Okay? And this is in John 1:15. Okay? And 30. Okay? Sorry for moving around. Okay? Number 4413. Strong's number. Okay? Says that the word means foremost in time, place, order, or importance. Then he states that it comes from the word pro. Number 4253. Pro. Okay? Some blessings, fam. Which means for. An example, in front. Okay? In front of, prior, the word pro has been translated before. In many places in the Renewed Covenant, the Greek word azumos, translated unleavened bread festival, was also specifically by implication used to refer to the Passover week, as James Strong points out under word 106 in Mark 14:12. See how messy this is, you guys? When the Europeans get involved in all these translations, how it messes a lot of stuff up, you don't know what to trust. On the first day of unleavened bread, when they sacrificed the Passover, his disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to go and make ready that you may eat the Passover?" Here also appears the word protos, and therefore the text correctly understood reads, "And before the day of unleavened bread, when they sacrificed the Passover." Do you see what they're saying? If they're talking about protos. Okay? The Passover was on the 14th. The day before was the 13th. Luke 22:7 reads. Do you guys see how ugly this is? Do you guys see how ugly this is? How we have to go through this like this? Luke 22:7 reads, "The day of the unleavened bread came, on which the Passover must be sacrificed." The word "came" comes from the Greek word erkomai, which simply means to come. You guys see that? Man, this is ugly. This is ugly. This is very, very ugly. Okay? But this word was qualified by the following Greek word day, which has not even been translated. The word opposes the previous word. You see how ugly this is, right? And qualifies it, and therefore the text should read, the day of the unleavened bread was coming, but did not yet come when the Passover should be sacrificed. Do you guys see that? Like how difficult that sounds? The Passover was killed in the evening of the 14th, and the day before was the 13th. The synoptics, properly understood, agree with YHWH, who places the Last Supper on the 13th of Abib. They placed the Last Supper. All right, so who gets what it is that we're talking about? If they're doing the Last Supper on the 13th of Abib, that's not the Passover. You guys see what we're talking about? So how could have the Messiah eaten the Passover lamb when it commands it according to the law? Should we be saying that the Messiah is a break of the law according to Christianity and camps? And you understand? Messianics? Would we dare say that? Okay? The Passover was killed in the evening of the 14th, and the day before was the 13th. Synoptics properly understood and agreed that John who places the Last Supper on the 13th of Abib. This also agrees with the Talmud's statement that Yeshua was hanged on the eve of the Passover. It also agrees with the statement in the Gospel of Peter. You see what I'm saying? That Pilate delivered the Messiah to the people before the unleavened bread festival. Do you guys see that? Okay? It is highly unlikely that all three synoptic authors would have placed the killing of the lambs on the first day of the unleavened bread festival, and thus on the 15th. Okay? When all knew at that time that the Yehudim observed the Passover on the 14th. Moreover, the fact that all three synoptic gospels refer to the day of the crucifixion as preparation day. Okay? And John, as preparation for the Passover, proved that it was not the 15th of Abib. If it was, then they would have stated that the day was either the Sabbath or the feast day and not the preparation day. For those who accept the renewed covenant as infallible, the evidence of YAHKMAN is sufficient to prove that the Messiah did not observe the Passover night, and therefore those who claim that he ate the meat of the lamb are mistaken. Likewise, if the Messiah was a lawbreaker for not eating the Passover lamb, then also were John the Baptist and James, the brother of the Messiah. It is as simple as that. You guys get this? Peace and blessings. That is from the chapter called, Did the Messiah Eat the Passover Lamb? And so now many questions would come about. There's a lot more to this, fam. It's not just that simple. There's a lot more to this. Because people will say, as they said, where were you that we would eat the Passover lamb? Well, what day of the week was this? What day of the week was this? You see, they have a disagreement on what day it was. Well, if you could agree that it was on the day of the as it said, let's go back. We have a hard time authenticating. We wouldn't make him a lawbreaker, would we? If they're eating the Passover before the Passover? That's breaking the law. We wouldn't dare say the Messiah broke the law. So do we see where we're going with this? I'm going to read it again. The Passover was killed in the evening of the 14th, and the day before it was the 13th. Synoptics properly understood and agreed that John who places the Last Supper on the 13th of Abib. This also agrees with the Talmud's statement that Yeshua was hanged on the eve of the Passover. It also agrees with the statement in the Gospel of Peter that Pilate delivered the Messiah to the people before the unleavened bread festival. Okay? So, what do you guys think about that? As far as the timing and date of it, even as far as chronology. What can you do with that? What do you guys think about that? When you start to really break it down. So then what were they eating? We see the Messiah giving them bread, which comes from wheat, and we see him talking about wine, which comes from grapes. Remember, wine is the blood of the grape. That still goes in line with Olam in Genesis 1:29. We talk about the original Torah. So, I wanted to bring this out earlier. We were on Brother FOP's site. We were talking about how the Ebionites and the Essenes viewed the Torah. Basically, what they said was, let's see how much time I got. Should be at about an hour, right? Oh, I'm not even at an hour. Okay, cool. All right, we covered that pretty good, pretty heftily. According to the Clementine homilies, okay, we find out that how they viewed the Torah. They viewed the Torah in reference of the Most High only speaks in one direction. Now, I don't expect everybody to agree with me, okay? Don't agree with me. Please disagree. Please, I want you to disagree with me. Hold on. See, let's get the homilies up in here. Was it this one? Is this one? Is this it? No, not this one. All right? Because I want you guys to see how they viewed that they knew that there were some falsehoods in the scriptures that they already acknowledged were there. And earlier we were on FOPE's site, YouTube. Okay, we were kind of talking about it a little bit, but I want to go into some of the text. Where was I? Page 50. Okay, and Clement was anointed of Kepha, basically to go forth and minister. I'm going to show proof of this. Okay, the Clementine homilies. Homilies of Peter. It is, I want to say it's book what? It's hard to get these right. Sometimes I can't tell here. I think it's homily 2. Is this right? Homily 2? Okay. Homily 2. Folks, they don't want us to understand the knowledge of our true Elohim. They don't. Homily 2, 38. Okay? And it reads, the corruption of the law. Okay? Yeah, they lied to us. Hey, brother, Shemichael. Yeah, I think it says Shemichael. How you doing, YAHKI? Okay, so right here. Homily 2. You guys see right there? Clementine homilies. Okay? All right, let's go to it. This is how the Ebionites, the Essenes, and the Nazarenes back then viewed the Torah. They understood that there was the corruption of the law. Okay, going to show proof of this. Jeremiah 8 verses 8. Okay, as a reference, as a secondary source. 7 verse 25. And then also in Ezekiel, there are other references as well. Ezekiel 22. Okay, as well, where he says, they say the Most High has said, but has not said. Right here. Corruption of the Torah. For the scriptures have had joined to them many falsehoods against the Most High on this account. The prophet Moses, having by the order of the Most High delivered the law with the explanations to certain chosen men, some 70 in number. Remember, this is Numbers 11. Right? Remember, this is Numbers 11. Remember when they were like prophesying or whatever, right? In order that they also might instruct such of the people as chose, after a little the written law had added to it certain falsehoods contrary to the law of the Most High, who made the heaven and the earth and all things in them, the wicked one, having dared to work this for some righteous purpose. And this took place in reason and judgment, that those might be what? Convicted, who should dare listen to the things written against the Most High, and those who, through love towards him, should not only disbelieve the things spoken against him, but should not even endure to hear them at all, even if they should happen to be true, judging it much safer to incur danger, with respect to religious faith than to live with an evil conscience on account of blasphemous words. So what do we mean? They looked at the law like this, whether you agree or not. We're not talking about if we agree or not. We're talking about how they view what they call Torah. They looked at the Torah with the Most High goes in one direction. The Most High does not speak against himself. He does not speak falsehoods. So if he's saying Genesis 1:29 from the gate, how is it possible Leviticus is talking about now it's okay to kill and destroy? Or even some parts of Genesis. Or even Exodus. Talking about the Passover lamb. And we were just talking about before, the Ebionites, doesn't look like the Messiah ate the Passover lamb. They can't even get straight what day it was, but it was not the Passover. Supposedly when the last meal was done. And when the last meal, we see them passing around bread. Now, even though they claim they ate the Passover lamb, they tried to interpolate it a little bit. It doesn't show it literally being in their teeth and eating flesh and things like that. Okay? But right here they're saying they don't even want to hear anything that was speaking contrariness to the Most High. Okay? So if it shows, for example, even in Genesis where it would say he repented that he made man, would indirectly make it look like the Most High didn't know what Adam was going to do. So Nazarites and Essenes would say that right there would be a falsehood. There's another one where it talks about Sodom and Gomorrah. okay, where he said, well, we'll go down and then we'll see if this is what has happened. And if we find out after we go down what they did, then we'll know. That would incite that the Most High is not all-knowing and not all, you see, so in corrupting of the law, they already understood, basically, that there were certain additions that were being made. Okay? All right. Because, excuse me, it's not for everybody to look at the Torah like this. Not everybody does it. So now Ebionites know that there have been what we call interpolations into the Torah. And now we have to carefully, methodically work them out. As many of the heathens and pagans never cease from wanting to eat flesh, worship idols, okay, and drinking of blood and things like that, and drinking of strong drink. And so we got to go through this with a fine-tooth comb. It's unfortunate, but it's been here, fam. And so this is what we're attempting to do. We're attempting to show people where we are and why these have been added. Let's go to homily 3. Okay? Okay, let's go to homily 3. I'm almost done. Homily 3. Okay? 3, 5. Okay, page 58. It's called Use of the Errors. So we have to acknowledge that the Tanakh and Torah was written by man. We know the only thing the Most High wrote was the 10 Commandments. We talk about this all the time. So now we have to carefully scrutinize everything else that man wrote. Unfortunately. Okay? We have to go through this with a fine-tooth comb. Use of the errors. Then I, Clement, hearing this, said, how say you, my Adonai, that even the falsehoods of the scriptures are set forth happily for the proof of men? And he answered, the falsehoods of the scriptures have been permitted to be written for a certain righteous reason, at the demand of evil. And when I say happily, I mean this, in the account of the Most High. Okay? The wicked one, not loving the Most High less than the good one, is exceeded by the good in this one thing only, that he not pardoning those who are impious on account of ignorance, through the love towards that which is profound, desires the destruction of the impious. But the good one desires to present them with the remedy. For the good one desires all to be healed by repentance, but saves those only who know the Most High. Do you guys see that? But those who know him not, he does not heal. Not that he does not wish to do so, but because it is not lawful to afford to those who, through want of judgment, are like to irrational animals, the good things which have been prepared for the children of the kingdom. All right? If you got that. Okay? Next, uncertainty of the scriptures. Okay? Oh, there's so many. I'm just going to stop right there. Contradictions. Let's go. Let's go to contradictions. So, you guys, we're doing our best to cover the unfortunate, erroneous infusions, fam, that Europe, the dark realm, and as it was prophesied, that dragon has tried and has done valiantly so. But now, by the grace of the Most High, we're going back over some of the erroneous doctrines and teachings that they have impressioned upon us and forced upon us over these centuries. We're working them back, and we're doing what we can to get them out there through social media, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Even some on TikTok. Some of us are trying to get on TikTok. That's not working. TikTok is about almost like I don't want to say prostitution, but it's like damn near about strippers and stuff and things like that. It doesn't even seem to be like, it's going after like the kids, man, but that's another topic. But that's there. But I wanted to touch on this earlier when Paul was talking about not by the works of the law. Man, Galatians 2, verses 16. He says this in 3:2. Okay? And then I'm going to cross-reference this with John 19, verses 16 through, 20 or something like that. Then I'm going to cross-reference it with Matthew 25. And I want to really pick up on this because this is a Nazarene Essene teaching. There, let me see. John, there we go. Yeah. Romans 14. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that later. And then Mark 12. And then I'll cut it. When he told us the way to the kingdom. Does it say 12:21? Maybe that's 12:21. All right? Peace and blessings. See you, Nazarite Chinook. Greetings, YAHKI. So when Paul states in his letters, his conjectures and his syllogism style letters. Okay? Can you call Bridget? Can you call her? She just called me. So in Galatians 2:16, I was trying to show this earlier if you guys are watching. In Galatians 2:16, Paul is talking against the Torah, right? But what Torah is he speaking against? But knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the Torah, but by the belief in Yahushua HaMashiach, as we have believed in Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might be justified by the faith in HaMashiach, and not by the works of the Torah. For by the works of the Torah shall no flesh be justified, right? So Paul is saying this in Galatians 2:16. Was he right or wrong? Then he also talks about in Galatians 3:2, this only would I teach you. Did you receive the Ruach by the works of the Torah or by the hearing of belief? But I want to stick to Galatians 2:16 first. Let's go to Mark 12. Oh, let's go to John. Excuse me. Yukanan. Let's go to John. We got to get this straight. John 19:16. Okay? I believe if I'm not mistaken, right? Oh, wait. Matthew. Oh, wait. I think I got that wrong. Hold on. Let me erase that. Let me go back. My bad. Hold on. Let me see. Galatians 2:16. Okay? 3 verses 2. There. And then compare that with John 19 verses what? Let me see. Is it 19:15? Let me see. Hold on. No. I think it was Matthew. I think it was YirmeYahu. 19:16. Let's see. I think I'm getting this wrong. Okay, YirmeYahu 19. Just bear with me. I'm almost there. Verses what? 16 through, 20. All right, there. And then Mark 12 verses what? 21. John 14:15. Okay. And that's there. Let's try that. All right. Sorry for the goof up, fam. John wasn't in there. That was the wrong verse. It was wrong. And then Matthew 25. Then also Matthew 25. All right. Let's ask ourselves, was Paul correct when he said not by the works of the law? Now, yes, he could be talking about the Levitical law. It's possible. But he's saying just by faith, it's nothing that you do. Okay? This is the difference between Essenes, Nazarites, and Nazarenes. They believed in faith with works is what garnered your salvation and secured it by you doing it from the love of the Most High from the heart, not just believing. Paul is just about belief. And there's a reason why he's just about faith when you go into studying his doctrine. So we go to Matthew 19. Okay? We just read Galatians 2:16 where he said, not by the works of the law. When you go to Matthew 19, verse 16, and behold, one came and said unto him, Good Rabbi, what good things shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why do you call me good? There is none good but one, that is Yah. Do you see that? So it doesn't look like he wants to be worshipped, right? But if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. Do you guys see that? He said unto him, which? Yahushua said, You shall do no murder. You shall not break wedlock. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Honor your mother, your father. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said unto him, all these things I have not lacked yet. Okay? So, Deuteronomy. Why is the Messiah speaking like this? Exodus 34:28. Okay? Did the Messiah tell that person, not by the works of the law, there's nothing you could do, right? Or did he say, if you will enter to the life, keep the commandments? The commandments is the covenant that the Most High gave to the house of Israel. Okay? Remember, the one he's talking about is going to be the ones that are on the heart, according to YirmeYahu 31 verses 31 through 34. Okay? The Messiah told him, keep the commandments. Keep the commandments. Let's go to Mark. Is Paul preaching lawlessness? Why are people following this? No disrespect, though. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not. People believe what they want to believe, but we got to answer these questions. Mark 12. Let's go to 27. Mark. Verses 27 through 34. All right? This is in relation to Galatians 2:16. Okay? He is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the Elohim of the living. Ye therefore greatly err. Remember, Paul said he's the Elohim of the dead and the living. Right? Didn't Paul say that? The Messiah corrected it right there, didn't he? But Paul claims to be a Sholiach. He claims to, have met him and all that stuff, right? Paul says, according to, what was it? Mark 12:27. Hold on. Mark. Okay, and then compare that with what Paul says in, let me see, was it in Romans 14? Was it in Romans 14? He might have said in Romans 14, right? I think he says it in Romans 14:9. Sorry for moving. And ask yourself, is Paul preaching the right doctrine? So that's another one right there. That's just another sidebar. Okay? Just a sidebar. So back to Mark 12:28. And one of the scribes came, having heard having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? And Yahushua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel. Okay? He didn't say Christianity. He didn't say Catholicism. He didn't say the church, did he? Hear, O Israel. Yahuwah Elohanu, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah Elohika with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. When they asked him, what is the first commandment, right? There is none other commandment greater than these. And the scribe said unto him, well, Rabbi, you have said the truth, for there is one Yah, and there is none other but he. And to love him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the soul, and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself. What does he say? Is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. And when the Messiah saw that he answered discreetly, he said unto him, you are not far from the kingdom of the Most High. That's a Nazarene teaching. And I think also people want to talk, well, what kind of love? I think it's in Exodus 20, verse 6. Love is a part of the covenant. He says, granting mercy unto them, thousands of them that love me, and what? Keep my commandments. Exodus 20, verse 6. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me. Do you see that? And guard my commandments. Love is a part of the Torah. It is a part of the covenant that he made with the house of Israel. Love me and keep my commandments. You guys see that? But Paul over here like, nah, man, not by the works of no law, dude. You just believe. The Messiah said it on many of occasions, keep the commandments. Did he not? Is he not reiterating the covenant that the Most High made with the house of Israel on the Mount Sinai? If he's to be the messenger of the covenant, as MALAKIMAC 3:1. Where are we getting this wrong? But when you go to Galatians, okay, 3:2. Let's go back. Are the doctrines lining up with the Messiah? Galatians 3:2. This only would I teach you. Did you receive the Ruach by the works of the Torah, by the hearing of faith? So let's do this. Galatians 3, verse 2, verses John 14, verses 15. He just made a declaration right here. This only would I teach you. Did you receive the Ruach by the works of the law, by the hearing of belief? How do we receive the Ruach? What does the Messiah say in order for us to receive it? What did the Messiah say in order for us to receive the Ruach? Does it line up with the Torah? John 14:15. If you love me, guard my commandments. And I will pray the Father, he shall give you another comforter, even that he may abide with you forever, even the what? Even the YHWH'S, whom the world cannot receive because it sees him not, neither knows him, but you know him, for he dwells with you and shall be in you. Paul's like, hey man, did you receive the Ruach by the works of the Torah? This only what I teach you. Did you receive the Ruach by the works of the Torah, by the hearing of belief? What did we just read in John 14:15? What did we just read in John 14:15? If you love me, guard my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and he may give you another comforter, even that he may abide with you, even the YHWH'S, whom the world cannot receive, for it sees him not. Do you see the difference? In order for us to get the Ruach, we got to keep the commandments. Not just believing. There's actually something you have to do. That's the difference between Pauline Christianity, which preaches a form of lawlessness, compared to Jamesian, Nazarite, Essene style Nazaritism. There's a major doctrinal difference between Greco-Roman Hellenized Pauline Christianity and Southern Palestinian Messianism, which goes back to the ancient customs of the Torah. When he said they're zealots of the Torah, when we consider what is considered Torah, it's a real deep teaching, fam. Now watch this. Let's go to Matthew 25. Did the Messiah preach works? Messiah preach works? Or just faith? Let's find out. These are my questions. And you tell me who had the ultimate doctrine and teaching that was worthy of making it to the Shamayim. Who's the judge of the thoughts and the integrity of your heart when you're doing things for the love of the Most High? Let's go to it. I think it was is it Matthew 25? Okay, let's go to Matthew 25. Matthew 25:14. Let's go to it. Matthew 25, verse 14. YirmeYahu. Okay? 25, verse 14. Okay? For the kingdom of Yah is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability. And straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded the same, and made them another 5 talents. So what did that servant do? He went and worked something and brought him back an increase. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained the other 2. But he that had received 1 went and dug in the earth and hid his Adonai's money. Verse 19. After a long time, the Adonai of those servants came and reckoned with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Adonai, you delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Adonai said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. What does that say? You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Adonai. Does it say not by the works of the law right here? Or did his servant go do forth what the master commanded? He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Adonai, you delivered me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Adonai. Then he which had received 1 talent came and said, Adonai, I knew that you are a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not strawed. And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the earth. Lo, there you have, that is yours. His Lord answered and said unto him, you wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. You ought therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own money with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which has 10 talents. For unto everyone that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that has not shall be taken away even that which he has. And cast ye the unprofitable servant unto outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him. Then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered the nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. Does that sound like works? He commands us to go forth and do something. Do we just sit there and bury it in the ground? And then come back to him and say, Adonai, look what I got, man, it's in the ground. You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. This is my point. Was the Messiah about works? Or was he about faith only? Were the apostles about works? Or were they about faith only? The apostles were about faith with works. Therefore, the man's faith is complete by what he does. You hear him talking about sons. Wicked son doesn't do what he's asked. The son does what he's asked. According to Pauline Christianity, it doesn't matter which son does and doesn't do. They all get to go, or whatever it is. Not by the works of the law. So understand this narrative. You have two sons. One listens, the other one doesn't. I'm speaking in a metaphor. They honor you, they take out the trash, they don't fuss, they turn off the TV when it's 10, they do their homework, they get good grades, whatever it is, but you got another one that don't listen at all. Don't respect you, always talks back, don't want to listen, do all these things. When the time comes to go to the show or the dance or whatever you call it, the after party, two sons come up to you asking, hey Pop, can I go to the show? If you're a righteous and just father, which one do you let go to the show or the party or whatever you want to term it? Do you say to the one who didn't do it, not by the works of the law, just believe, go ahead and go? Or do you let the one go who did what you told him to do? When we're looking at it from a righteous Elohim, are we getting this right? When he says not by the works of the law. The Most High is judge over why we do what we do and why you suffer the way that you do. That's a Nazarene teaching. And to bring it home, let's go to James, the 2nd chapter, and I'm going to cut it. Let's go to James chapter 2, the bishop and elder of the Jerusalem assembly, correcting Pauline Christianity, faith with works. Okay? Talking about of the Torah. There's a major doctrinal difference compared to Pauline Christianity. Brethren of mine, not in respect of persons, guard the belief of our Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach of glory. For if there come into your synagogue a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come also a poor man in vile raiment, and ye have respect to him that wears the fine clothing, and say unto him, sit here in a good place, and say to the poor, stand there, or sit here by my footstool, are ye not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, has not the Most High chosen the poor? Remember we were talking about the Ebionites? Of this world, rich in belief, and heirs of the kingdom which he has promised. To them that love him. What do we read was love? And according to Exodus 20 verse 6, those that grant mercy, he will grant mercy to them, to those that love him and what? Keep his commandments, correct? But you have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Do they not blaspheme that worthy name by which ye are called? If you fulfill the royal mitzvah or law, according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you do well. But if you have respect of persons, you commit sin and are convicted by the Torah as transgressors. For whoever shall guard the whole Torah and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, do not break wedlock, also do not kill. Now, if you do not break wedlock, yet you kill, you have become a transgressor of the Torah. Speak ye and what? So do. As they that shall be judged by the Torah of liberty. Okay, remember, according to Deuteronomy 30, there are two laws going forth. In the scriptures we read, there are those that are of life, and there are those that are of death. There are scriptures that bring freedom, and there are those that bring bondage. He talks about you're going to be set free by the Torah of liberty if you speak and do. He says right here, verse 13, for he shall have judgment without mercy that has showed no mercy. And mercy rejoices against judgment. Why it's imperative to be merciful to people who are asking it. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and has not works? Can works save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be warm and filled, notwithstanding, you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what does it profit? That's a Nazarene teaching, giving food unto those that are hungry, money unto those that are without. Even so, faith, if it has not works, is dead, being alone. That's a Nazarite, Nazarene, Essene teaching. Yea, a man say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You believe that there is one Yah, you do well. The devils also believe and tremble. But will you know, O vain man, and we have come to find out, James is talking about Paul, that faith without works is dead. Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered his son Isaac upon the altar? See how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect. And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and it was called a friend of Elohim. You see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works, when she had received the messengers and had cast them out another way? For as the body without the Ruach is dead, so faith without works is dead also. This is a doctrinal difference between Pauline Christianity and Jamesian Nazaritism, Essenes and Ebionites, as they understood what they called Torah. No. There is something you have to do to make your faith perfect. They suffered to death. Prophets preached to the corrupt leaders, priests, and you name it. Noah didn't just believe an ark. He went and built it, correct? So when we talk about works in the law, what do we consider Torah? What do we consider works? I ask people, if people want to allude to Leviticus 11, and some of the so-called dietary law, that's another topic. Do we see the Messiah anywhere alluding to any of the Levitical laws and anywhere in his ministry? Do you see the Messiah ever killing an animal and sprinkling any blood anywhere during his ministry? So we know that's not what it's talking about. So anyway, so that's there. But I wanted to show, we're supposed to give to the poor, even in the Torah, and that carries over in the renewed covenant. Okay? Deuteronomy 15, verses what? 7 through, 11. Let's go to it. Deuteronomy 15, verses 7 through 11. Still dealing with Torah. How else do we build our people up if we don't work it? If our neighborhoods are ran down, our buildings are torn down, or you name it, our roads and bridges are jacked up, do we just believe them to be fixed? Do we believe our schools to somehow receive a better curriculum? Or do we go and work it? Who understands the difference now? Why we are the way that we are as a people? Pauline Christianity just says, believe your neighborhoods to be fixed. Believe your roads, your bridges, your schools, and your buildings to be just fixed on their own. Nazarites, Essenes are about working, putting it together, coming together as a people and building each other. Not just by what you say, by what you do. Let's go to Deuteronomy 15, verses 7 through. Okay? If there be among you a poor man, one of your brethren within any of your gates in your land which the Most High gives you, you should not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother, but what? Open wide your hand. You open your hand wide unto him, and shall surely lend him sufficient for his need, and that which he wants. Beware that there be not a thought in your wicked heart, saying, the 7th year of the year the release is at hand, and your eye be evil against your poor brother. and you give him not, and he cry unto the Most High against you, and it be a sin unto you, you shall what? Surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give unto him, because that for this thing the Most High YHWH shall bless you in all your works. What does that say right there? Bless you in all your works, and in all that you put your hand unto, for the poor or the Ebion shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide unto your brother, to your poor, and to your needy in your land. That's works. Are we getting this? Are we understanding this? How we're supposed to take in the fatherless, the orphan, the widow. I'm giving you guys all Nazarite Essene teachings as they understood. The most important thing for us as the people is to operate and act like a family. We are supposed to be helping each other, rebuilding each other. There's supposed to be no disenfranchised group. When you really understand Torah, it's about building. It's about family building. The feasts are basically like a family reunion. As you come to Jerusalem 3 times in a year, and you're supposed to celebrate the feast by telling everyone how the Most High has blessed you. When you greet one another according to the feast. When you go to Jerusalem. This is how you start it off, so you guys don't seem like you're strangers to one another. You give peace and blessings to your people as you go. Bless them on their way. There's a difference between Pauline Christianity and Nazaritism. Major doctrinal difference is all what we're trying to show between westernized, Hellenized Christianity, which says just believe, and Essenes, Nazarites, and Ebionites that are about, nah, you got something you got to do. So please understand the difference. Why we keep going on and on and on about this. A lot of the camps are not getting this right. Churches are not getting this right. Not to disrespect them. This has been doctrinally infused and imposed upon us through our oppressors under the guise of Christianity and Catholicism. The Nazarites were about martyrdom, not compromise. They didn't become a heathen to the heathen and an Israelite to the Israelite. They were about martyrdom to the point of death, keeping the Torah of the Most High. Fam, that's all we're attempting to show, okay? Let me see. Because you hear him talking about we're supposed to take in the fatherless, right? The widow, things like that. These are all works. And these are Nazarite, Essene, Nazarene teachings, okay? Supposed to take in the fatherless, okay? It's all throughout the Torah. If you guys want to look at it, let me see. I think it's all one word. And so when you start to understand that, you start to understand why we are where we are as a people. Why our neighborhoods stay run down. Why our people stay in the abysmal state that we've been in. Why we have not prospered. Because we have not been under the right teaching. We have not been under the right ordainment that comes directly from the Most High. And understanding this, fam. Let me see. Deuteronomy 10:18. You hear him talking about this all the time. Deuteronomy 10, verses 18. Okay? Let's go to it. Let's go to Deuteronomy 10:18. He executes the judgment of the fatherless and the widow and loves the stranger in giving him food and raiment. It's Deuteronomy 10:18. Okay? It says 14:29. Deuteronomy 14:29. This is understanding why we have not risen as a people. We don't work together. We don't marry within each other like we should. We don't do business with each other. We don't stick to the law of edification and building as we should. There. Looks like it says 16:11. Yep. Deuteronomy 16:11. So all works, fam. These different disenfranchised groups. You hear them talking about 24:17. Okay. Deuteronomy 24:17. Who is that? You shall not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor of the fatherless, nor take a widow's raiment to pledge, but you shall remember that you were a bondman in Mitzrayim, and Yahuwah Elohika redeemed you thence, and therefore I command you to do this thing. That was Deuteronomy 24:17. Deuteronomy 24:19. Deuteronomy. And it reads, when you cut down your harvest in your field, and have forgot a sheaf in the field, you shall not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and for the widow, that the Most High may bless you in all the works of your hands. When you beat the olive tree, you shall not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and for the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and for the widow. And you shall remember that you were a bondman in the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore I command you to do this thing. Do we see the differences now? When we talk about in the Jerusalem Council, according to Acts 15, when they said we're zealous of the Torah, or Acts 21, we're zealous of the Torah. When they talked about this, why there were so many wars being fought during the wars of the Yahudim in the books of Josephus. They were fighting a westernized, pagan, heathen, idolatrous form of worship that would be imposed over the Israelites. They were fighting this. It was bloody battles, fam. Not only do they come as an occupying force, but they also come with their ideology. Their systematic pagan, heathen idolatry. This is what has subsisted for the last 2,000 plus years. Because Rome won. And they've imposed this Western, Pauline Christianity, Hellenized form of ideology that has completely encompassed most of the whole earth behind what? Islam and Catholicism and what is the other one? Sikh, Hinduism, or whatever it is, and some of the others out there, fam. This is how bad it is. And when you start going back to the ancient teachings of the Torah, you got to understand why we've been where we are as a people. You hear him talking about this even through the prophets. Isaiah 1. Remember, he goes all in one direction. Isaiah 1:17. Let's go to Isaiah 1:17. When you study Essenes, Nazarites, Essenes, you start to really understand how they understood this. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. And we're talking about works. Okay? When people ask, man, what's up with y'all Essenes, Nazarenes? Why y'all call yourselves that? Isaiah 1:23. Isaiah 1:23 reads, it says, your princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loves gifts and follows after rewards. They judge not the fatherless. Neither does the cause of the widow come unto them. Okay? So many sisters these days without, good, adequate help. Do we take in the fatherless? Do we take in the widow? The government system of Babylon, or whatever you want to call it, has to do it for some of our women. We don't do it for each other like we should. We don't take in the fatherless, the orphan, the widow like we should. We're too busy now. Forget that. I don't want no drama in my house. Man, you don't want drama in your house for love of the Most High? You never know what that'll do to somebody when they really need it. And you do your best to help them and bring them in. This is Torah. Let me see. There's many more. Let me see. Deuteronomy 26:13. Did I do that? Deuteronomy. Okay. Deuteronomy 26:13. Second and third witness. I'm giving you guys Nazarene teachings. 26:13. Then you shall say, unto the stranger and the fatherless and the widow, according to all your commandments which you have commanded me, I have not transgressed your commandments, neither have I forgotten them. That was 26:13. Okay? Then you hear him talking about in the Psalms. Psalms, it's all throughout, you guys. It's all throughout. Psalms, this is very much a Hebrew custom. Verses, 14? We didn't even go through a lot of the Psalms. Tehillim. That David knew this about the fatherless, the orphan, and the widow. That you do have something you got to do. This is how you rebuild your people. 10:14. You have seen it, for behold, mischief and spite to requite it with your hand. The poor commits himself unto you, and you are a helper of the fatherless. That's there. 10:18. Psalms 10:18. Major doctrinal differences. To judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. It's all throughout, you guys. To defend the poor. Psalm 68:5. There's a difference between when I say nah. I don't follow Christianity, y'all. I'm about helping our people. You know what I mean? Psalm 68:5. When people want to know the difference between the Essene and the Nazarite and the Pauline Christian. And some Christianity follow this too, don't get me wrong. But we're talking about among us as a people. 68:5. A father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is Elohim in his holy habitation. Psalm 68:5. Next. Psalms 82:3. Psalms 82:3. I didn't know I'd be here, but we're here now. Psalms 82:3. Okay? Defend the poor and the fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and the needy. Deliver the poor and the needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. Because remember, what we talk about according to Deuteronomy 30:19. There's a law that brings life. There's a law that brings death. There's a law that brings freedom. There's a law that brings slavery and captivity. Even within the so-called Torah that we have. So which Elohim or God are we following? Are we following the God of slavery, tyranny, injustice, wickedness, death, and murder? Or are we following a God of freedom, love? See what I'm saying? Life. Let's be the judge of according to that what we read. It says 94:6. Okay, that's there. Keep going. It's all throughout, you guys. Isaiah 9:17. Let's try that one. It's all throughout. I'm just showing second and third witnesses. Okay? Why we and me and other brothers, Essene and Nazarite prefixes are going back to some of these ancient teachings. Okay? What did it say? Isaiah what? It said Isaiah 9:17. Okay. No, that's dealing with judgment. Okay. Jeremiah 7:6. Let's go to YirmeYahu. Jeremiah 7:6. Just going through. Jeremiah 7:6. If you oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, shed not innocent blood in this place. Okay? That's there. It says 22:3. Almost done. Just showing references, fam. 22:3. Jeremiah 22:3. Jeremiah 22:3. Thus says the Most High, execute judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong. Do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. Okay, and again it's talking about how they're going to kill, keep killing innocent animals, but that's another topic. But then it talks about then they're going to be led away captive because Israel doesn't want to listen to these laws of the Most High. Okay? There, it says Ezekiel 22:7. Ezekiel. The difference between Pauline Christianity, Nazarites, which are zealots of what they call Torah. They did not believe in the bloodshed of any animal. They did not eat any flesh meat. They looked at that as death. And we know the Most High is the Most High of the living, not of the dead. In you have they set light by father and mother. In the midst of you they have dealt oppression with the stranger. In you they have vexed the fatherless and the widow. Okay, that's there. That was Ezekiel 22. Okay. That's there. James 1:27. He even knew this. James 1:27. Do you see how Essene and Nazarite, such as James, Yaqub Sadiq knew this in James 1:27. As it reads, pure observance and undefiled before Yah and the Father is to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction. See this? James knew this. James 1:27. pure observance and undefiled before Yah and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction and to keep himself unspotted from the world. How else do we rebuild ourselves as a people? If we're not willing to get out, not just believe, but work. Talks about this in YirmeYahu, Isaiah 58. Okay? And then I'll cut it after this. I could read my Septuagint. I'll read from my Septuagint. Give me a minute. When we talk about why we're in the state that we are as a people, we don't share like we should. We're too busy worried about all this money. How did that get down there? Oh, you gave it to me? How long ago? No.
About an hour ago.
Don't worry about it. I appreciate it. It's not really that cold anymore. Thank you. I forgot that was down there.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to Isaiah 58. What a real fast really means. Do we have work to do? Or do we just sit around believing? You know, I was talking about this earlier. I believe the world is getting ready to go through a very tribulating time. And there's only going to be one way to survive. And the only one way to survive is going to be to give to one another and to help one another. There are going to be people that are without. And there's going to be some people that are going to have. It may not matter the race or the ethnicity of people. Major catastrophes and calamities may be on the way. The only way to survive is for people to share with each other. If you got food, if you have raiment, if you got places to stay, if you have water, and the earth is going through this process, you know, how else are we going to do this? If we're being greedy, there's going to be that's what I see. Only way to survive is to share. Let's go to Isaiah 58. I read from my Septuagint. All right, 250 BC, written by Israelites, and I'm done. What kind of fast does the Most High want from us as a people? Peace and blessings. Now in the days of your fast you find your pleasures, and all them that are under your powers ye wound. If ye fast for quarrels and strifes, and smite the lowly with your fist, wherefore do you fast to me as you do this day, so that your voice may be heard in crying? I have not chosen this fast, nor such a day for a man to afflict his soul. Neither though as you should bend down thy neck as a ring, and spread under thee sackcloth and ashes, neither thus shall ye call a fast acceptable. Verse 6, Isaiah 58 verse 6. I have not chosen such a fast, says the Most High. But do you loose every burden of iniquity? Remember, what did we say? Is the Most High about bondage? Or is he about freedom? Loose every burden of iniquity. Do you untie the knots, of hard bargains? Set the bruised free, and cancel every unjust account. Break thy bread to the hungry, and lead the unsheltered poor to thy house. If you see one naked, clothe him, and you shall not disregard the relations of thine own seed, talking about our own people. Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thy health shall speedily spring forth, and thy righteousness shall go before thee, and the glory of the Most High shall compass thee. Then shall you cry, and the Most High shall hearken to thee. While you are yet speaking, he will say, Behold, I am here. If you remove from thee the band, and the stretching forth of the hands, and the murmuring of speech, and if, what does this say in verse 10? You give your bread to the hungry from the heart, and satisfy the afflicted soul. Then shall thy light spring up in darkness, and thy darkness shall be as the noonday, and the Most High shall be with thee. Does it say a couple of nights a week? A couple of hours? Continually, and you shall be satisfied according as thy soul desires. And thy bones shall be made fat, and shall be as a well-watered garden, and as a fountain from which the water has failed. Do you guys see that? And thy old waste desert places shall be built up, and thy foundation shall last through all generations. And you shall be called what? Repair of breaches. And you shall cause thy paths to be in peace, between to be in peace. if you turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, so as not to do thy pleasure on the holy days, and shall call the Sabbaths delightful holy unto the Most High, if you shall not lift up thy foot to work, nor speak a word in anger out of thy mouth, talking about doing your own works, right? Trying to do whatever you can for yourself personally, but doing it for the love of your people. Listen what he says. Then you shall trust on the Most High. He shall bring thee up to the good places of the land, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Most High has spoken this. Does that not sound like works? Or does it sound like just believing, and that's it, and you get to go to the upper room? Understand the difference between Jamesian Nazaritism, okay, Essenes, Ebionites, understandings of the Torah, and Pauline Hellenized Christianity that has been infused into a lot of the renewed covenants writings imposed by Rome and the West. No disrespect to anybody who follows Paul. We're studying things from pre-Nicaea Council without Paul. We're studying James. We're studying Torah. We're going into the books of the ancients. And we're finding out, whoa, the West has infused so much. It's a mess. That's why we got to go through the books that we do to determine historically what is authentic and what are interpolations. We've read text that shows there was no fish during the Messiah's giving of the bread or whatever it is. It was fruit and bread, according to earlier accounts, which still goes in line with Nazaritism. Eating no flesh, drinking no wine, not going near a dead body. You name it. And they also believed in works. Giving unto the poor, feeding the hungry, building up your people as they need. When you see them asking the Messiah, throughout his Gospels and teachings, he would ask them, what do you want me to do? Well, if you could, do this. Was he not doing that? Was not the Most High, the Messiah, that's not the law of the Most High tell us to work it. Was not the Messiah working it? He told the apostles, he told the apostles the same thing. Greater works than these shall you do. Okay? So that's there. So to close it out, to finish up, when I get to my 2-hour mark, almost there, do my best to show the differences, fam, between Western Hellenization and infusions, okay, and actual Torah, okay? Like I said, Essenes, Ebionites, Nazarenes, they didn't even look at Leviticus as Torah. They look at that as adds by the priest. And that's a whole other topic. And we try to work to that as well. People don't want to stick, to the topic as well. But the Messiah will say, he's going to reward us, each and every one of us, according to our works. Matthew. Okay, Matthew 16. Okay, verse. I'll just take it out. Matthew 16. Verse, what is it? What did he say? He said, Matthew 16:27. Okay? Yeah. And then he also says it in John 14. Okay. Yep. And then also it talks about it in James. James says it all throughout James 2. I just read that. James chapter 2. He understood this, being his brother. And then also Peter understood this. 1 Peter, being a Nitzari. 1 Peter 2 verse 12. Okay. He understood that. Let me see. Revelations 20. Do we not have work to do? 20 verses what? 12 through 13. Where he says he's going to reward us, each and every one of us, according to our works. So where do we put that? Where do we put that in understanding what we call Torah? You know what I mean? Revelations 2:23. Okay. I'm giving you guys Nazarite, Essene, Ebionite teachings, fam, that I've studied. And you realize, no, actually we do have work to do. Okay? It's not just about believing. What did he say? To him who knows to do good and does it not, to him it is sin. So, you know, hope and pray this has been edifying, fam. You know, we're just talking about here. Originally, the question was, did the Messiah eat the Passover lamb? According to the references given, it doesn't even look like the whatchamacallit meal was even on the Passover. So when was it? Why did they try to make it look like he did? We see them eating bread, though, right? Drinking wine. We don't see them eating anything literally that had bled out and died. Because the Messiah himself said over and over again, I'll have mercy on that sacrifice. Anyways, peace and blessings, y'all. Gotta run. Gotta put my books back. But I was trying to be methodical and open with it. I'm sure there's a lot more to it. Alright? So peace and blessings, y'all. Peace and blessings to our people, man. We've been destitute. We've been lied to. We got to go back through this with a fine-tooth comb. Take out the European lies, the editorial slips and things like that, and really dig deep during this time. We don't know how much time we have for tomorrow. Give it y'all love, y'all. Peace, fam. Shalom.